She found the letter on a Tuesday morning, tucked under a coffee mug like it was nothing, like it was a grocery receipt. Like 7 years of her life deserved a folded piece of paper and a mug placed on top to keep it from blowing away. She did not open it right away. She stood in the kitchen in her socks, the floor cold underneath her, the coffee still brewing, the morning still ordinary, and she looked at that folded paper, and she already knew. The way you know a storm is coming before the sky changes. Something in the air, something in the stillness. She poured her coffee first. She needed to pour her coffee first. She sat down at the kitchen table, the one she had painted white 2 summers ago on a hot July afternoon, laughing at herself for getting paint on her elbow. She wrapped both hands around the mug. She breathed. Then she opened the letter. She read it once, then again. Then she set it down very carefully, the way you set down something fragile, even though it was just paper, even though the fragile thing was her. She sat in that kitchen for a long time. Outside, the neighborhood was waking up. A car started somewhere. A dog barked twice and went quiet. The coffee cooled in the mug she was still holding. And the kindest woman you would ever meet, the one who remembered everyone's birthdays, who stayed late without being asked, who gave and gave and gave without keeping count, sat alone at her white kitchen table and finally understood the cost of all that kindness. It was everything. It had cost her everything. Her name was Clara Joness, 31 years old, a pediatric nurse at a mid-sized hospital in Nashville, Tennessee, where the hallways smelled like antiseptic and something sweet from the vending machine near the elevator on the 3rd floor that always had a line. She had chosen nursing the way some people choose a calling rather than a career, not because it was practical, though it was, and not because someone told her she would be good at it, though they did. She chose it because she genuinely could not imagine doing something that did not help people. It was that simple and that complicated. She was the nurse who remembered which kids were afraid of needles and distracted them with a story before they even saw the syringe. The one who learned the names of siblings waiting in the hall. The one who stayed 10 minutes past the end of her shift to sit with a frightened mother because the doctor had used words that were too large and too clinical, and the woman needed someone to translate them into something human. She was that nurse. She had always been that person. Outside of work, Clara lived in a small house she rented on a quiet street with a magnolia tree in the front yard that bloomed every spring in a way that made her stop and look every single time, no matter how many years it did it. She kept her home warm, candles, soft throws, plants on every windowsill. Her friends said her house felt like an exhale, like you walked in and your shoulders dropped without knowing why. She cooked for people when they were sad. She showed up when she said she would. She listened, really listened, the kind of listening where you put your phone face down and you look at the person and you let what they are saying actually land. She had a laugh that started quiet and then took over her whole face. And when something genuinely surprised her, she pressed one hand flat against her chest, like she needed to keep her heart in place. She had grown up the oldest of 3 children, in a household where love was real, but resources were thin, and her mother worked 2 jobs, and her father coached her younger brother's sports teams on weekends. Clara had learned early, very early, before she had words for it, that the way to be loved was to be useful, to be easy, to need very little and give a great deal. She had been unlearning that lesson her entire adult life. She just did not know it yet. She had met him at a hospital fundraiser 3 years before the letter. His name was Ryan. He was a pharmaceutical sales representative, confident, well-dressed, the kind of man who knew how to work a room without appearing to try. He had found Clara near the back, near the dessert table, which was where she always gravitated at events where she did not know many people, and he had said something that made her laugh, genuinely laugh, the full-face kind. She was careful at first. She had been in one difficult relationship in her mid-20s, and she had come out of it with a very clear sense of her own value, or so she believed. She took things slowly. She paid attention. What she saw, those first months, was a man who seemed to appreciate exactly the things about her that others had sometimes called too much. He said she was warm. He said she was real. He said, one night over dinner in a quiet restaurant near the river, that he had never met anyone who made him feel as comfortable as she did. She remembered the feeling that moved through her when he said that. Recognized. That was the word. She felt recognized. She fell in love with him the way she did most things completely, and with her whole chest open. The signs were there. They are always there. That is the cruelest part of the story, and the truest. They were never hidden, not entirely. Just quiet enough. Just subtle enough. Just mixed in with enough good moments that a woman who wanted to believe chose to believe. The first thing she noticed was that her needs had a way of becoming inconvenient. Not dramatically. Not with cruelty, just a slight shift in the room's energy whenever she brought something of her own to it. She had a stressful week at work, 2 difficult cases back to back. A child who had not responded to treatment the way they had hoped. She came home and she needed to talk. She needed 15 minutes of someone sitting with her in it. Ryan was watching something. He muted it. He turned to her with a look that was almost patience, almost attention. The almost was the thing she should have noticed. She talked for 5 minutes and then stopped herself. "Sorry," she said. "You were watching something." "It's fine," he said, and unmuted the television. She went to the kitchen and made tea she did not want, and told herself she was being too sensitive. He had had a long day too. She could not always be the one who needed things. She began managing her needs the way she managed everything, efficiently, quietly, mostly alone. She bent for him in ways she would only count much later, all at once, like finding out how much something weighed only after you had been carrying it too long. She changed her days off to match his schedule. She stopped spending Sunday mornings the way she had always loved, slowly, with a book and the window open, because he liked to sleep late and she did not want the light to bother him. She paid for dinners more than half the time because he was saving up for something that never quite materialized. She stopped telling her best friend Angie certain things because Angie had asked her once, carefully, if she was happy, and Clara had heard something in the question that she was not ready to sit with. She became, without a ceremony or a decision, a woman who arranged herself around someone else's life. And the thing about Clara, the particular painful thing about Clara, was that she did it so naturally, so graciously, that no one around her saw the cost. She smiled at work. She was present with her patients. She brought food to her neighbors and sent birthday messages and answered phone calls promptly. She was fine. She was always fine. She had learned that too, in that childhood house with the busy mother and the absent adjacent father, how to be fine so seamlessly that no one ever thought to look closer. The letter arrived 18 months into living together. Ryan had been quieter for 3 weeks before it. She had noticed, of course, she had noticed. She noticed everything, but she had chalked it up to work stress, to the season, to something she had probably done without knowing and would figure out and fix. She was already composing the apology in the back of her mind for a thing she did not yet know. She never got to give it. The letter said he needed space, that he cared about her deeply. That line, that particular line, in its particular position, told her everything. That he had not been fully honest with himself about what he wanted, that he hoped she would understand. He was not even home when she found it. He had already taken his things quietly. Over several days, she now understood differently the slight disarrangement of the closet she had noticed and not examined. He had not even stayed to say it to her face. She sat at that white kitchen table, and the coffee went cold, and the morning kept going outside, ordinary, indifferent, birds and car engines and neighbors, and all of it completely unaware that inside this small house, something very important had broken. She did not cry right away. She went to work. She was the nurse on the 3rd floor. She had 7 patients. She showed up. It was only on the drive home, stopped at a red light on Elliston Place, that it came. Suddenly and completely the kind of crying that takes over the whole body, that has no dignity, that has been waiting behind a very thin door for a very long time. She sat at that red light, and she cried, and she cried, and when the light turned green she did not move, and the car behind her honked once, gently, and she pulled herself together enough to drive the rest of the way home. She sat in the parked car in her own driveway for 40 minutes. She looked at the magnolia tree. It was too early in the year for it to bloom. It was just bare branches, gray and thin against the winter sky. It looked, she thought, like it was waiting. The weeks that followed were the quietest of her life. She went to work. She came home. She sat in the house that had been theirs and was now hers again, and she felt the particular loneliness of a place that still carries the shape of someone who is no longer in it. The couch where he sat, the side of the closet that was empty now, the hangers pushed together to close the gap. She stopped cooking, not deliberately, just found she could not bring herself to make a full meal for one when she had spent so many evenings cooking for two. She ate simply. Toast, whatever was easy. Angie came over. Clara let her, which was its own kind of progress. She told Angie everything, not in one sitting, but slowly, over several visits, like a long story told in installments. And Angie, who was careful with her words because she knew how careful Clara was with her heart, just listened. She sat on the couch with her legs folded underneath her, and she listened. "You gave him everything," Angie said one evening. Not as an accusation, as an observation. "I know," Clara said. "What did he give you?" Clara looked at the window. The magnolia tree was still bare. She thought about it honestly, maybe for the first time. Honestly, the early warmth, the feeling of being recognized, the good moments, which had been real, and then the unmuted television, the dinners she paid for, the needs she managed alone, the apologies she had been pre-composing for something she had not done. "He made me feel chosen," she said, finally, at the beginning. And after, she was quiet for a long time. After, she said, "I think I was just convenient." Saying it out loud did something. Not a relief exactly. More like when you finally press on a bruise, you have been avoiding the pain is real and sharp, but at least you know where it is now. At least you are not flinching from something unnamed. The turning point came on a Wednesday in February, and it did not come from a conversation or a revelation or a dramatic moment. It came from a patient. A little girl named Maisie, 7 years old, in for a follow-up after a procedure that had frightened her badly the first time. Clara had been her nurse at the original appointment and had spent 20 minutes before the procedure telling Maisie about a completely invented story involving a brave rabbit named Button who was afraid of the doctor's office but went anyway, and discovered that the doctor's office was not the scary thing. The not knowing had been the scary thing. Maisie had asked for Clara specifically this time, had told her mother she only wanted the rabbit nurse. Clara sat beside Maisie's bed, and Maisie, who was 7, and unfiltered in the way only children are, looked at Clara very seriously and said, "You look sad today." Clara blinked. "I'm okay," she said. Automatic, easy, the way she always said it. Maisie shook her head. "My mom says it's okay to say when you're not okay. She says pretending is for Halloween." Clara looked at this 7-year-old girl with her serious eyes and her hospital bracelet and her mother's wisdom in her small mouth, and something happened in her chest that she would think about for a long time afterward. She laughed. The full-face kind, the surprised kind, the hand pressing against her chest kind. And then her eyes filled up because the laugh and the sadness were right next to each other, the way they sometimes are when something touches a real place. "You're very smart, Maisie," she said. "I know," Maisie said, completely without arrogance, simply as a fact. Clara drove home that evening with something different in her. Not fixed, not healed, but awake. She thought about Maisie's mother's words, "Pretending is for Halloween." She thought about how many years she had been wearing a costume, the fine one, the capable one, the one who needed nothing and gave everything. She thought about the white kitchen table and the cold coffee. She thought about the television, unmuted. She thought about all the mornings she had gotten up quietly so the light would not bother him. All the Sunday silences she had traded for someone else's sleep schedule. She pulled into her driveway. She looked at the magnolia tree. And she made a decision, not a big one, not a final one, but a real one. She was going to stop pretending to be fine until she actually was. She called her mother that night for the first time in weeks. Her mother, who had grown up watching Clara hold everything together, who had sometimes worried quietly that her oldest daughter carried too much and showed too little. Her mother answered on the second ring, and Clara said, simply, "I'm not okay, Mom." And her mother said, "I know, baby, I've been waiting for you to say that." She cried on the phone for an hour. Her mother stayed on the line the whole time, did not rush her, did not offer solutions, just stayed. It was, Clara realized after, the first time in years she had let someone sit with her in something real, without managing it, without minimizing it, without wrapping it up neatly so the other person would not be burdened. It felt terrifying. It felt like relief. She started a new habit in March. Every morning, before work, she sat at the white kitchen table with her coffee hot this time, always hot, and she wrote one thing she wanted. Not needed, not what someone else needed from her. What she, Clara Joness, wanted. One thing, just for that day. Some days it was small. To eat something good for lunch. To take the long way home. To call Angie and laugh about something that didn't matter. Some days it was bigger. To stop apologizing for things she had not done. To let herself be angry, actually angry, without immediately softening it. To accept that being kind did not mean being boundless, that she could love people and still say no, that her kindness was a quality, not a debt, not something she owed the world indefinitely, in unlimited amounts, regardless of what was given back. She was not perfect at it. She still over-apologized sometimes. She still felt the pull to make herself smaller in certain rooms, with certain people. She still had mornings where the quiet of the house felt more like emptiness than peace. But she kept writing in the notebook every morning. She kept asking herself the question. And slowly, imperfectly, she began to answer it. She planted something in the backyard in April. A small kitchen garden, just a few raised beds, herbs, tomatoes, something she had always said she wanted to do and never quite gotten to. She spent one whole Saturday in the dirt, hands and knees, the sun on the back of her neck, a podcast playing from her phone, propped on the fence post. She was not good at it. The rows were not straight. She forgot to water it twice in the first week and had to look up online whether the seedlings would survive. They did. She stood at the kitchen window one morning and looked out at the small beds of green coming through the soil, imperfect, slightly uneven, undeniably alive, and she felt something she recognized, something she had not felt clearly in a long time. She felt like herself. Not the performing version, not the fine one, the capable one, the one with the costume on. Just Clara. 31 years old, pediatric nurse. Bad at straight rows. Good at sitting with people in hard things. Owner of a magnolia tree that was, by April, beginning to bud. She pressed her hand against her chest, the way she did when something surprised her. Then, she laughed. The full-face kind. The real kind. For herself and no one else. And now here is what I want to say to you, because Serena's story was never only about Clara. It was always, from the very beginning, about you. The kindest women are hurt first, because their kindness is visible. Because warmth is something the world reaches for before it asks permission. Because women who make others feel safe are often taken for granted precisely because they do it so well, because they make feeling safe look effortless, even when it costs them enormously. You have perhaps loved the way Clara loved fully, with very little asked in return, quietly adjusting your own shape to fit the space someone else needed. And you have perhaps, like her, mistaken that adjusting for generosity, when sometimes it was really fear. Fear that if you took up your own space, asked for your own things, said your own truths out loud, the love would go. But here is what Clara's magnolia tree knew before she did. Even in winter, even stripped bare, even when there is nothing visible to show for it, something is still growing. The roots are still working, the bloom is still coming. You do not have to earn your place in the rooms you are already in. The second thing is this: your kindness is not the problem. It was never the problem. The world needs the nurses who stay 10 minutes late, the friends who show up, the women who remember. Do not let one person's inability to meet your kindness with care turn you into someone who closes. The answer is not to become less. The answer is to become more precise, more deliberate about where and how and for whom your kindness flows. Not everyone deserves the best of you. This is not cynicism. It is wisdom Clara earned at a white kitchen table on a Tuesday morning with a cold cup of coffee. And the last thing, the thing I hope you carry: Clara's one small daily question changed everything. Not a grand gesture, not a complete reinvention, just one quiet question every morning at the kitchen table. What do I want today? Ask it, even if it feels strange, even if the answer is small. Even if you have spent so long thinking about what everyone else wants that the question feels almost foreign in your own mouth. Ask it anyway. Ask it tomorrow. Ask it the day after. Because the woman who begins to answer that question honestly, who tends that question the way Clara tended her imperfect, uneven, undeniably alive garden, that woman does not disappear. She blooms. And she was always, always worth the waiting.